On behalf of the Council for the Indian School Certificate Examinations, I would like to give a very warm welcome to all of you for this one-day online training session on political science at the ISC level, where we shall discuss important and relevant topics from the reduced syllabus for semester 2 and the specimen paper and the question paper pattern. Avnindra Kumar Verma, sir. Sir, can you hear me? Is my voice clearly audible?
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, sir. Tanya, ma'am, you've written you can't hear me, but I don't know. Most of our other participants have confirmed they can. So if you can kindly check your audio, maybe you can just log off and log in again. I think the problem will be solved. Okay, sorry for the interruption. Avnindra Kumar Verma, sir, is a very senior teacher who has been teaching political science at the ISC level for more than 13 years. He has also been associated with the council for almost a decade and is currently teaching at the Frank Anthony Public School, New Delhi. Before we commence today's program, I would request, kindly note that we shall post the attendance link on the chat box after 4 p.m. today, and that after the end of today's meeting, you will receive an email with a link and detailed instructions as to how you can download your certificate of participation and the feedback form. During the question answer session, you may click on the raise hand option. We shall permit to unmute yourself one by one so that you can clear your doubts from Avnindra Kumar Verma, sir. Without wasting any further time and wishing all of you the very best for the upcoming examinations, I would request sir to please commence the session.
Just give me 2 minutes.
Yes, sir. Yeah, absolutely.
Good afternoon, everyone. Am I audible?
Sir, I can hear you. And teachers, if you could also just maybe click on the thumbs up button or write a yes on the chat box.
Just 1 minute. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. We are here to what is called just go through once what is called in detail the semester 2 scope of syllabus, which I have made in great detail, okay, for benefit of all of you. And I'll be discussing that in brief with all of you. And there is that after that we'll have the discussion on and take a copy of it. Okay, so we'll be starting with that. So welcome to the ISC Political Science Semester 2. What is called? Just 1 minute. Yeah, so our first, in the scope of syllabus, our first chapter, as you know, okay, is judiciary. And in judiciary is the third organ of government. It is responsible to apply its duties to apply the specific laws and settle disputes by interpreting and applying laws. It is favorable for ensuring the welfare and security of the citizens, the common man. Okay, so that depends on it for justice. Okay, before I proceed, let me tell you one thing. There might be some typing errors. Actually, there's a lot to type. So please just ignore that. Okay. Because I think all of you have grown up and most of you know the syllabus. Okay, I have tried to cover as much as possible. An independent judiciary is considered to be the most essential and democratic part of every government worth its name. After starting the meaning of judiciary, we come to the functions of judiciary. The functions of judiciary are to administer justice by awarding punishments to those found guilty. All the aggrieved citizens can go to the court to seek justice. Then its function is to make laws. Judiciary plays a very important role in making of laws. The courts determine the meaning, nature, scope, and practical utility of the laws. Then the courts also interpret and apply the laws to specific cases. Every law needs proper interpretation and flexibility for getting applied to every specific case. See, the law depends from case to case. Then this judiciary also, what is called, gets its decisions enforced by directing the executive or through its own officials. If the executive doesn't implement, they can pull up the what is called local officials for not implementing. This happens many times. You must have seen Supreme Court pulling. Then very important function is to protect fundamental rights by issuing writs or declaring any law as void if it is found violating fundamental rights. Then its very important function is to carry out equity legislation. You will get this in important terms. When a law is silent or ambiguous in a case, then equity legislation comes in. Then it settles disputes between center and states by acting as an independent and impartial umpire between the federal government, that is the central government, and the governments of the federating units or states, then to give advisory opinions to the government on legal matters. In India, we have it. You don't have this function everywhere, but we have it in India. Example, the President of India can refer to the Supreme Court any question of law or fact which is of public importance. Then to conduct judicial probes, on government or its agent in matters of alleged errors of commission or omission. Then to act as the guardian of the Constitution and protects its integrity by declaring any law found to be ultra vires as null and void. Then we have the concept of judicial review. Now, for this year's syllabus, we have only scope, meaning and scope of judicial review. Meaning scope, by scope, I mean the principles. The power of courts to examine the acts of legislature and executive with a view to determine their constitutional validity. So the court only determine whether an act made by the legislature, is constitutionally, legislature or executive is constitutionally valid or no. The features of judicial review are that it is not an automatic power of the judiciary. There are grounds of invalidating a law that will have to be stated. It is conducted by a bench. It is not done by one single judge. Then judiciary refrains from deciding on political issues. It is not advisory in nature. Decision becomes operative from the day it is delivered. Then one thing very important, which can come as a 2 marker. I'll be pointing out one. See, our pattern is 1 marker, 2 marker, 4 marker. So, and we have case study, which is again a 4 marker only. So children have to go in depth so that when they study all this, they know in depth that what concept, basically conceptual clarity has to be there. So we have 2 bases of judicial review, one which is followed in USA and one which is followed in India. In USA, it is due process of law. Judiciary decides whether a law is enacted in accordance with the procedure laid down by the Constitution and whether the law meets the ends of justice. There are 2 principles within this. In procedure established by law, judiciary only decides whether a law is enacted in accordance with the procedure laid down by the Constitution. So this is a very minor difference. In one you have 2 steps, in one you have single step, but this is very, very important. It can be an important question for a 2 marker or a identification or a true false. I'm not saying this will come, but this might be important. So then we have an important topic, conditions essential for an independent judiciary. Now, conditions essential for an independent judiciary are common in most of the countries. I have taken up some common, that depends on from country to country. First is sound method of appointment of judges. Judges are appointed by the executive on merit, experience, and record, and are expected to be independent of popular influence, party politics, and sectoral politics. It may not happen everywhere, but normally it is supposed to happen. Then they require high qualification. Only persons with sound qualities of head and heart, jurists and legal luminaries, persons with wide experience at the bar and dedicated to the legal profession are appointed as judges. In India, for example, we'll be coming to the qualifications when we do India. Same way in America, there is no fixed qualification, but then people from legal walk of life only are appointed. Then we have long and stable tenure. A long and stable tenure is a source of satisfaction and carefreeness from material worries. Good behavior till the age of retirement is the best principle of fixing the tenure of judges. Then difficult method of removal. Judges can only be removed by the difficult procedure of impeachment on grounds of corruption, inefficiency, etc. It can be misbehavior. There are several other grounds, but these are some of the common grounds. Then high salary. Judges are paid fixed, good and high salaries, which are paid regularly from the consolidated or some fixed fund of the state that is not subject to legislative vote, plus adequate and handsome allowances are given to the judges to maintain a fair and high standard of living, which is very must, which is, I think, essential for everyone, including us. Then adequate after retirement benefits. Judges are provided with the good after benefit retirement perks to ensure their independence from greed and fraud and guarantee a happy retired life. Then prohibition of practice after retirement. Judges should not be permitted to take up any employment or start their legal practices after retirement. However, this does not stop them from becoming member of commissions, okay, or chairman of commissions. They can be part of that, or any inquiry, this thing, commission only, I mean, or body. Then judiciary, very important. Judiciary has been separated from the executive. No person can be a judge and prosecutor at the same time. The executive and judiciary should be entrusted to each other, with the judiciary having the power to get its decisions enforced by the executive. All matters concerning the promotion, transfer, and other service conditions of the judges should be subject to the final judiciary discretion of the judiciary itself, with no discretionary and arbitrary action of the executive. And everywhere you have separate. In India, you have the Supreme Court Collegium. In America, you have what is called the Senate, which decides final. But then after once appointed, no one can remove the judges. They can only be impeached, as we all of us know. Okay. Then we have a U.S. judiciary system. It's a two-tier judicial system. In America, what is called, it has 8 judges plus 1 chief justice, and they are appointed by the president with the consent of the Senate. Appointment is based on merit. There is no fixed tenure in America. Okay, they can retire. There are people who have continued to the age of 70, but they can be removed by impeachment on grounds of misbehavior, misconduct. Then functions of the U.S. Supreme Court, it is the original jurisdiction in cases concerning ambassadors and foreign agents, in cases where the state is a party, in cases of inter-state disputes. Then you have the appellate jurisdiction from a state court in cases where there is a dispute under the constitution directly from federal district court when it invalidates a federal statute and the government appeals against it, and through petitions against the decisions given by the federal court of appeal. Then there can also be a review of the cases of the courts of claims and court of customs and patent appeals. There is one request, please don't underline while I'm speaking. Please don't underline. Rajshri ma'am. Hello. Am I audible, teachers? Hello. Yes, Rajshri ma'am, am I audible?
Yes, sir. And I can see participants are also writing you are audible.
Okay, I didn't notice message. It was getting disturbed. The slide was getting disturbed.
So for that, sir, can you kindly, when you like on the top of your screen, there are view options and there's a green line. So there, if you take your the pointer of your mouse, you will see 3 dots. When you click on that, there will be an option saying disable annotation. Because since you are sharing the screen, the option to disable annotation will only be available to you. I will not be able to do it from my side.
Okay, I got it. Just give me 2 minutes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, sorry, teachers. Then, so in America, the Supreme Court plays a major role as the interpreter of the Constitution, as the guardian of the Constitution. It has played a major role in the development of the Constitution. It is the guardian of fundamental rights, and it even makes laws. We all know that there was a role even in the election of President of America when Al Gore was vetoed upon by the bench. Okay, it was a case of judicial review only, and George Bush was appointed as president. Then 1803, we had what is called the judicial review starting, even though it started much later, but Justice Marshall gave in Madison versus Marbury case. Okay, so you all know that. Then we have the Indian judiciary. We have single integrated judicial system. These terminologies may be important for MCQs, 1 markers and all that. In India, we have now there have been some changes in that. Collegium, the Supreme Court Chief Justice of India, and senior sitting judges, some senior sitting judges of the Supreme Court, high qualifications for appointment should have been for at least 5 years a judge of the High Court or 2 or more such courts in succession, should have been an advocate of a High Court for at least 10 years. Okay, this is a choice of these two. Or as mentioned, please remember this is again very important. The senior most judge is appointed as the CJI, Chief Justice of India. This was violated by Indira Gandhi, that you all know, but I don't think that should be asked because that normally we don't do that. But it might come also. So just mention that the one it was violated around in 70s, mid 70s. Then they hold a term of office till the age of 65. They can be removed by impeachment with 2/3 majority of both the houses of parliament, but both of them get a chance. All the judges get a chance to either be present themselves or through their representatives in both the houses. Okay, they tried to remove some judges, but those judges resigned beforehand. So till date, not many judges have been impeached in the India. Then we have the powers of Indian Supreme Court. Okay, we have original jurisdiction, Article 131. Cases of dispute between center and states or between 2 or more states, cases related to violation of fundamental rights. I have summarized it a little bit. The children can write, or you can, while you teach, you can what is called write it separately also, segregate them. Then we have appellate jurisdictions, civil cases which involve a question of law and High Court certifies them to be fit for appeal. Civil cases are normally of what is called theft. Okay, criminal cases when the High Court certifies it, or in case of a death sentence, they have reverse the judgment and sentence the person to death. Article 134. Then you have constitutional cases when High Court certifies that the case involves interpretation of the Constitution and is fit for appeal. Please remember, the lower courts don't have any what is called constitutional jurisdiction. Then you have a special leave. Article Court or tribunal in India. Okay, this power is only with the Supreme Court of India. Then advisory jurisdiction, Article 143 gives the President the right to seek opinion of the Supreme Court on a matter of public importance. The Supreme Court is obliged to give what is called advice. Then judicial review, Article 13, 32 and 226. This is for the High Courts. Along with several other features, give the Supreme Court the right to judicial review. You have some famous cases, Golaknath case, Keshav Ratan Bharti case, Minerva Mills case, which bear ample testimony to the operation of judicial review in India. Then they have the function of protection of fundamental rights. Supreme Court has the power to issue orders, declarations, and writs for protection and enforcement of the fundamental rights. They even settle the disputes related to election of president and vice president. This can just be mentioned. Then they act as a court of record. The Supreme Court keeps a record of its own cases, which is used in future cases which come before them on the basis of these decisions. Then they can review their past judgments also. The Supreme Court can depart from its previous decisions if it is convinced of its error and its beneficial effect on the general interest of the people. Then important terms in judiciary are as follows. Open trial, a trial which is open for the public to watch. The accused is given a full opportunity to defend themselves basically. Free legal aid is provided to the needy and poor. Indian judiciary is programmed to conduct free and open trials. And fast track courts recommended by the 11th Finance Commission. This scheme envisages the appointment of ad hoc judges to hold speedy trials and dispose of the case. Then we have equity legislation, where a law, this I had said earlier, where a law is silent or ambiguous, this can become as two Marcus features, or ambiguous and appears to be inconsistent with some other of the law of the land. The judges, depending upon their sense of justice, fairness, impartiality, honesty, wisdom, you may not, or teachers, we may just write fairness and impartiality also, decide the cases before them. Such decisions always involve lawmaking. It is usually termed as equity legislation. Then we have PIL or public interest litigation, a citizen group, voluntary organization, okay, or even a court can suo motu bring to notice any case demanding action or public interest on special cases. This helps the poor a lot. Then we have what is called two concepts called judicial activism, okay, and what is called judicial, judicial activism and what is called judicial restraint. Judicial activism is a proactive judicial ruling by will. Example, when Supreme Court held that fundamental rights could not be amended, even though there were no restrictions. This is a long case. Now the judgments have changed. It's just an example. Then judicial restraint is a theory of judicial interpretation that encourages or limits the judges, authority of the judges to limit the exercise of their power. It asserts that judges should hesitate to strike down laws unless obviously unconstitutional. Example, when the judges said that there are certain situations strictly in the scope. But since we have Indian Supreme Court and American Supreme Court, we should, I think, let the children do some differences between the two. See, these are very general. Indian Supreme Court, US Supreme Court. Indian Supreme Court, only federal cases come under the original jurisdiction. In America, what is called federal cases related to ambassadors and foreign agents also come under the original jurisdiction. Then in what is called in India, civil, criminal and constitutional cases come under appellate jurisdiction. Constitutional cases only come under appellate jurisdiction. Advisory jurisdiction is there in India. There is no advisory jurisdiction in USA. In India, we have procedure followed by law. In USA, you have due process of law. Then we have restricted ambit of judicial review in India because we have parliamentary form of government. In America, it is wide ambit of judicial review. They have separation of powers. I'm telling you the reasons also. It's not given here. Then India has single indicated judiciary, while America has got dual system of judiciary. Okay. I hope judiciary is clear. Now we move further. We move to the second chapter, preamble and salient features of the Indian Constitution. Doubts. When I end up this thing, then we'll have the question hour session together only. Okay. And in fact, I'll ask one or two teachers to speak also towards the end. Not right now, towards the end. Thank you so much. Okay. Now preamble. See, you can have multifarious meanings. This is just one I got. It is the political horoscope of the Constitution, which exhibits the basic structure, doctrine, features of the Constitution. It is the letter and spirit of the Constitution. Importance of preamble, it lays down main objectives which the legislation intends to achieve, then highlights the ideals which Constitution needs to achieve, gives direction and purpose to the Constitution, lays down grand objectives and socio-economic goods to be achieved through a constitutional process. Then the source of authority of preamble, it begins with the words, "We the people of India." We don't need to learn the whole preamble, but we need to know the basic features, ideals, objectives. So the Constitution derives its sovereignty from the people. Again, this children should read very carefully, all these parts. Nature of preamble, ideals are India is a sovereign state. We became independent on 15th August 1947. It means that the government is independent in internal matters and external matters and is no longer under the what is called control. This is control actually, which is written as a center of foreign power. This is a control. So that's what I said, that there are some typing errors. Please excuse me for that. Please just ignore that. Then socialist state, the word socialist was added by the 42nd Amendment. It means that the state aims, many of you who have been what is called setting papers, I think have given this 42nd Amendment as a very important question. So you already know about it. It means that the state aims at promoting socio-economic equality and egalitarian society. Then secular state, it was also added by the 42nd Amendment. The state is not theocratic. We don't promote any religion. There is no state religion, and equal religious freedom is given to all. Then democratic state, people elect the government periodically through free and fair elections. We have right to vote, right to contest elections, right to criticize the government, and right to hold public office. That India is a republic. The head of state is not ruled by a hereditary ruler. The Indian president is elected indirectly by an electoral college consisting of MPs and MLAs. He is the head of state. We are not expected, children are not expected to know all this in great detail, but they must know the basics of these features. Okay. We are not repeating the first semester. I repeat, teachers, we are not repeating the first semester. Okay. Only from the second semester, whatever is important has to be tested also and taught also. Okay. Then we have objectives of the state. Justice is the first objective. Indian Constitution seeks to provide social basically economic and political justice to its people. In social dimension, it means no discrimination on any ground. Right to equality makes untouchability a crime. Economic justice means adequate means of livelihood to all and no monopolistic control or means of production. Political justice means right to vote to all. Basically, these are three different dimensions. They must know in brief. Now, we never know. These might be important for a case study. Okay, you can be asked to given a case something related to this because this makes a question on a case study. It can be asked. I'm not saying it will be asked only there from here. Okay, normally in the specimen paper, I think the question is fundamental rights. But I'm just saying in general, it is not mentioned anywhere that the question will be from fundamental rights only. It can be from anywhere. So children are supposed to know. So this is one dimension which I felt, one area which is a gray area for asking. But please remember again, the case study should not be very complicated. Okay, students should be able to understand it so that they can identify the concepts. Okay, clearly. There should be no vague descriptions of statements. Then you have liberty. It is of thought, faith, belief, expression, and worship. They are essential components of fundamental rights. Then we have equality. We provide equal opportunity, equality of opportunity, and even adequate opportunities to all. Then we have fraternity and integrity. Integrity was added by the 42nd Amendment. Fraternity is a feeling of a spiritual and psychological unity. It aims to promote unity and integrity in a diverse nation. This was there in first term also, and this I think we should let the children know. Constitution Day is celebrated on 26th November since our constitution was adopted on 26th November 1949 and it was implemented on 26th January 1950. We celebrate Republic Day on that day because the Indian Independence Day for the first time was celebrated in 1930. I hope most of us know that. Okay, children who are studying history won't have a problem, but we took it as a token of symbolic celebration and kept the Republic Day on that day. Then in 1950, our first president, Dr. Rajendra Prasad, took oath on this day. Now, this is just for what is called, all the name of presidents are not important. Just for some example, I included this thing. Then is preamble, very important question, sometimes a 2-marker. Is preamble a part of the constitution? Keshav Nandan Bharti case, later on even Minerva Mills case, held, the Supreme Court held that the preamble is a part of the constitution. It is the doctrine of basic structure. Now, then we move to the basic features. Now, in this, basic features can be many. Books have many, or when you consult any book, they have many features. Okay, but I have included only those features which are mentioned in the scope, and I think even children need to know only those features which are there in the scope of syllabus, in the reduced scope of syllabus. You have first is written and comprehensive. We have a detailed and written constitution consisting of 395 articles, 12 schedules, 22 parts, and over 126-25 amendments. Okay, framers did not want to leave anything to chance, so they made it an all-comprehensive document with a detailed provision. Then it's a constitution drawn from several sources. The Indian sources are Government of India Act of 1936, then Ideals of Indian Freedom Struggle. Then we adopted from abroad. From Britain, we adopted parliamentary democracy and bicameralism. From America, we got fundamental rights, independence of judiciary and judicial review. From Ireland, we got directive principles. From Canada, we got quasi-federal state. From Germany, we got emergency provisions and so on. We have several provisions which we have got from here and there. All are being used in the Indian constitution. So basically, it's derived from multiple sources. Then we have, it's a federal structure with unitary spirit. Now, maybe the children do not learn the details, but they must know the federal features. Basically, Casey Ware called it a quasi-federal state. We had this, what is called part in the first term also. Some of these features are federal features. We have a written constitution, we have supremacy of constitution, then we have independent and impartial judiciary. Then we have unitary features, financial dependency on center. You must have seen there is a lot of dispute going on the GST. Okay, sharing of GST. States like many states, in fact, complain. Obviously, the central states and the ruling party states which are same as center won't complain. But there are other states, the opposition ruled state, which say that what is called they are not being given the proper aid and all that. Okay, so basically that proves that we are a unitary state. So it's a federal state with unitary features. Then we have single citizenship, emergency provisions. There are 3 types of emergencies. We'll be doing it when you have an all India services. Okay, and we have usage of paramilitary forces. Casey Ware calls it a quasi-federal state. Some books label it as a semi-federal state. Now, this is not a word mentioned in the constitution. Please know that. But children ought to know it. Then we are partly rigid and partly flexible. We are Indian. This is basically the procedure of amendment under Article 368, which makes us partly rigid and partly flexible. Some provisions are amended by a simple majority of parliament, like changing the boundaries of names and boundaries of states, flexible. Certain provisions are amended by a 2/3 majority of parliament. So you see, this is a repetition over here. So that makes it rigid. And certain provisions require 2/3 majority of parliament and approval by half the state legislature. So these two make it a rigid. So we are more of rigid, but we call it partly rigid and partly flexible. Indian constitution is a blend of rigidity and flexibility. Many provisions have been kept in what is called the flexible part, because India, basically when they were making the constitution, they did not want India to what is called trifurcate, bifurcate, or get further divided. So they have kept a what is called rigid procedure of amendment. Okay. Then, as we proceed, then we have fundamental rights and duties. Part 3 of the Constitution provides for fundamental rights. 6 rights we have: right to equality, Article 14 to 18. Then we have what is called right to freedom, Article 19 to 22. By 97th Amendment, citizens have been given the right to manage their cooperative societies. Right against exploitation, Article 23 to 24. Right to freedom of religion, Article 25 to 28. Cultural and educational right, Article 29 and 30. Right to constitutional remedies, Article 32. Right to property. This is not defended, it is deleted as a fundamental right. So this is also a typology error. I'm sorry for that. Okay. It has been deleted as a fundamental right. This is deleted, not defended. Okay. So please take note of what I'm saying, till teachers. Okay. Then we move ahead. Then we have 42nd Amendment added the fundamental duties under Part 4A, Article 51 of the Constitution. I have included some of the duties, but 86th Amendment is important to respect national flag, constitution, and national anthem, to cherish noble ideals of freedom struggle, to protect and uplift sovereignty, unity and integrity of India, to defend the country when called upon to do so, develop scientific temper and spirit of equality. Then 86, what is called Amendment added the fundamental duty of parents to provide education to their children. This is especially relevant for primary education, even though the new education policy, I think, is plans to do it up to the age of 16 or 17, I think. That is still 12. Non-fundamental duties, please remember that this is not non, this is note. Fundamental duties are not enforceable in a court of law. They are only obligatory. Then we have directive principles of state policy. Part 4 of the Constitution provides for directive principles of state policy. They are guidelines given to the state for what is called promoting economic justice through its policies like equal pay for equal work, social security, old age pension, promoting international peace, etc. They are non-justiciable, but their importance as any government, okay, which does not implement them, will fear losing elections. And you can see examples. Our government has been working hard. Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, Pradhan Mantri, what is called Awas Vikas Yojana. All these are part of this only, directive principles only. Sukanya Samriddhi Yojana. There are umpteen number of principles. All governments have done. Manrega. Okay, so examples should be known, but we will be doing that in detail when we do directive principles. Then we have parliamentary form of government. The Constitution of India provides for a parliamentary form of government on British pattern. The President of India is the nominal executive or head of state. The real executive authority is with the Council of Ministers headed by the Prime Minister. They are collectively responsible to the Lok Sabha. The government can be removed if a vote of no confidence is passed against them. So please remember, this is important. Vote of no confidence might be asked, maybe. Okay, and these parts in fundamental rights, part 3 and part 4 are also important. Okay, this was there in the specimen paper. I think some of you must have seen. Okay, just give me 2 minutes, teachers. Just 2 minutes break. I'm taking. Thank you. Sorry to. Okay. Then we have single citizenship. Unlike USA, people in India, whether in Jammu and Kashmir or in Nagaland or anywhere, Tamil Nadu, go any part of India, okay, enjoy a uniform citizenship which entitles them to equal rights and freedoms and equal protection by the state. Then we have a bicameral legislature. An Indian Parliament is a bicameral legislature. It consists of 2 houses. Now there is a printing error over here. This consists of 545 members, not 548. The books say 550, but it is 545 and is elected directly by the people of India. It is the lower house. Rajya Sabha, it is the upper house. It consists of 245 members, out of which 233 are elected by MLA and 12 are nominated by the president. 1/3 of its members retire after every 2 years. Then we have universal adult franchise. The age of voting has been reduced from 21 to 18. All adult citizens who are 18 years and above have the right to vote without any discrimination on the basis of caste, color, creed, gender, sex, educational qualification, place of birth, etc. Okay, this was done many years back. This came in the first semester, 89, I think. Okay, this came as a question in the first semester. Single integrated and independent judiciary. India has a single integrated judiciary with Supreme Court at the apex level, High Court at the state level, and District Court at the subordinate level. Independence of judiciary is provided by having fixed method of appointment, fixed salary and service condition, tough way of removal, fixed qualifications for appointment, etc. Then we have judicial review. This we can do from the chapter on judicial review, but it is basically a power of the judiciary to review laws made by the legislature and executive and declare it null and void if the law is against the constitution. Then we have the emergency powers. President of India can impose three types of emergency. Article 352 declares national emergency, which is on the ground of when threat we have of external aggression or armed rebellion within the territory of India or any part of India. Then we have Article 356, constitutional emergency. On this is president's rule. On receipt of report from the governor of a state, constitutional machinery has broken down. Then Article 360, financial emergency. When there is a threat to the financial stability of India, I hope you, even though it is not exactly a financial emergency, but type of financial emergency was there during the COVID times when government employees' salaries were not increased. Okay, so then we have a special provisions for scheduled caste and scheduled tribes. SC/ST Part 16 makes special provisions related to scheduled caste and scheduled tribes. Article 330 provides for reservation of seats in Lok Sabha in proportion to their population. Similar provisions for reservation are also made in the state legislature. Seats are reserved for SC/ST even in education institutions and government jobs, even in Panchayati Raj. Seats are even reserved for OBCs in jobs, though it cannot exceed 60% now. Earlier it was 50%, but now it is 60% because the upper strata also have got what is called 10% reservation, especially based on financial position. Okay. We have done the second chapter. Now we'll be moving to the third chapter. Okay. Teachers, I know some of you might be wondering why I'm saying first, second, but I'm going as per semester wise. Now this is the third chapter of the second semester. Fundamental rights and directive principles. The fundamental rights, part 3 of the Indian Constitution provides for fundamental rights. This is called the Magna Carta of Rights, and it's the part of the doctrine of basic structure of the constitutions. Rights are negative and positive. They are negative as they impose restrictions on the state. They are positive, which permit citizens to enjoy freedom. Okay. Then first right is right to equality, which is covered in the Article 14 to 18. Just 1 minute, teachers. First right, Article 14 guarantees to all citizens and others equality before law. All citizens enjoy equal protection of law. The state shall not discriminate, not what is called take away the equality before law or equal. It shall provide everyone equality before law or equal protection of law within the territory of India. In Article 15, prohibition of discrimination. Article 15 prohibits discrimination on the grounds of religion, race, caste, place, sex, or place of birth. No person can be denied access to shops, hotels, public restaurants, and places of public entertainment, or the use of wells, tanks, bathing ghats, roads, wholly or partially maintained by state funds. However, special provisions are made for SC, ST, women, children, OBC, etc. That does not restrain the state from making provisions for these people, and you all know that they have reservations. Several areas you even have what is called women also, like Panchayati Raj, where they get benefits. The bill to give reservation to women in parliament is pending from over 2 decades, I think, maybe more than 2 decades. Then you have Article 16, equality of opportunity. Article 16 clearly states that no citizen shall be on grounds of religion, race, sex, caste, descent, place of birth, residence, or any of them be ineligible for or discriminated against in respect of any employment or office under the state. Then we have Article 17. It abolishes untouchability. Untouchability in any form in India, okay, or its practice in any form is punishable under the law. 2 acts, Untouchability Offences Act 1955 and Protection of Civil Rights Act 1977. Years are not important maybe, but the article, these rights are important. And these, one thing before I proceed. In fundamental rights, this is one chapter where articles are very, very important. This is one chapter where articles are very, very important. So children should know the articles along with the details. Okay. If they're asked, then so we should tell the children that articles are important, at least in this chapter. I'm not saying in other chapters they may not come, but this chapter has the maximum articles. Okay. Are provisions which guarantee this right. Article 18, abolition of titles. No citizen can be conferred title except what is called honors for military or academic distinctions. These include Bharat Ratna, Padma Bhushan, Doctor, etc. these can be suspended for public order and unity of the nation. Okay, so it is not that these are absolute in nature. So please remember, fundamental rights are not absolute in nature. Then we have what is called Article 19. The next right to freedom. Okay, Article 19. It starts with 6 fundamental freedoms: speech and expression, freedom of assembly, freedom to form associations. By 97th Amendment, freedom is even granted. I have tried to include all the current affairs, okay, but there may be something which I may have left out. I would like you to point out if there is something towards the end. Even granted to form and manage cooperative societies, freedom of movement, freedom to reside and settle, freedom of profession, occupation, trade, or business. They can also be suspended on grounds of public order, security of the threat to security of the nation, etc. And we have right to freedom. Article 20, protection against arbitrary conviction. No person can be convicted except for the violation of law at the time of committing of an offense. A person cannot be given a greater penalty except at the time of commission of offense. No person can be arrested and punished for the same offense more than once. No person can be forced to be a witness against himself. Then 44th Amendment provides under Article 359 that this freedom cannot be suspended even during emergency. Then Article 21 we have, okay, no person shall be deprived of his life and liberty except according to the procedure established by law. Article 21A, 86th Amendment provides free and compulsory education for children between 6 to 14 years as a fundamental right. In 2017, right to privacy was also declared as a fundamental right by Supreme Court, but in it is subject to reasonable, this is not reasonable, it is reasonable restrictions. Then Article 22, okay, protection against detention. It provides that a person will be allowed to know the reason he is being arrested, or a person will be allowed to consult a lawyer of his choice. A person will be produced before the nearest magistrate within 24 hours. This law does not apply to enemy aliens and a person arrested under preventive detention. Then right against exploitation. You have Article 23 and Article 24. Article 23 provides for prohibition of trafficking in human beings and forced labor. Under this article, the Constitution prohibits trafficking in human beings and beggary and similar other forms of forced labor, selling and buying of men and women, and exploitation of people by forcing them to work as bonded laborers is banned. Suppression of immoral trafficking in women and girls. This act is called CETA. It protects women. Then suppression of employment of children in hazardous industries. Okay, Article 24 provides that no child below the age of 14 shall be employed in hazardous industries like mines, etc. Then we have right to freedom of religion, Article 25 to 28. 25 provides what is called freedom to practice and propagate our religion or religion. This article guarantees to all persons freedom of consciousness and the freedom to propagate any religion. Forcible conversion stands prohibited in India. Then Article 26 provides freedom to manage religious affairs. Okay, it provides right to establish and administer institutions for religious and charitable purposes, to maintain its own religious affairs, to administer such property in accordance with law. Then Article 27 provides freedom from paying taxes. Under Article 27, no person shall be compelled to pay taxes for maintenance of any religion. Article 28 provides freedom to attendance in religious functions. Article 28 prohibits imparting of religious instructions in any educational institution which is wholly maintained out of state funds or of receiving aid. This is not and, this is aid from the state. So teachers, I'm sorry, there are some typology errors, okay, because it's a lot of what is called pages, so there were some errors, okay. But I think I'm pointing out those, so you'll excuse me and ignore them. Article 29 you have, okay, and forgive me for that. Okay, Article 29, right to maintain language, script and culture. The citizens residing in the territory of India or any part thereof having a distinct language, script or culture of its own shall have the right to conserve the same. It conserves rights of minorities. Article 30, the Constitution admits that all minorities, whether based on religion or language, shall have the right to establish and administer educational institutions of their choice. State, while providing aid, cannot discriminate against such minority institutions. Then we have right to constitutional remedies, Article 32. This is a very important fundamental right. This is given to Supreme Court High Court under Article 226. Then people can move to the court for securing and protecting their fundamental rights under Article 32. I have just explained these writs in brief. They may, like 2-3 lines, children should know. Habeas corpus, it means you may have the body. It is the remedy against wrongful detention. The court can ask the reason of the arrest of the person detained wrongfully. Then mandamus, the court can order an inferior court to do an act which does not fall under its jurisdiction, its jurisdiction. Prohibition, the writ can prohibit an inferior authority from doing an act which does not fall under its jurisdiction. Okay, it can prohibit the court from exceeding its authority. Then quo warranto, by this court can restrain a person from acting in public office to which he is not entitled. Then certiorari, court can order an inferior authority to transfer the matter to it or some other authority for its proper consideration. Then we have to right to property. We had, under Article 31. It was deleted by the 44th Amendment and made a legal right. Then we have fundamental duties to oblige to respect the national flag and national anthem, cherish and follow the noble ideals which inspired our national struggle, to protect the integrity, sovereignty, and unity of India, to defend the country and then perform national services when called upon to do so, or when it requires, to promote the spirit of harmony and brotherhood amongst all people of India and renounce any practice that are derogatory to women, to cherish and preserve the noble ideals which inspired our composite culture, to protect and improve the natural environment, including lakes, wildlife, rivers, forests, etc., to develop scientific temper, humanism, and a spirit of inquiry. This is not equity, it's inquiry. So there's a typology error. To safeguard all public property, to strive towards excellence in all genres of individual and collective activities. The 11th fundamental duty was added by the amendment to provide what is called for education to children between 6 to 86th amendment, between the age of 6 to 14 years of age. Then we have directive principles. Part 4 of the Constitution provides for directive principles of state policy. Article 38 declares that the state shall strive to promote the welfare of the people by securing and protecting as effectively as it may a social order in which justice, social and economic and political, shall prevail, in national life. These are guidelines used by the state to secure social and economic justice through effective legislation. And please remember, they are non-justiciable. Fundamental rights are justiciable. List of directive principles. This is just one list. There can be a multifarious list. Socialist principles to secure social, economic, and political justice to all, adequate means of livelihood to all, to prevent concentration of wealth in a few hands, to provide equal pay for equal work for men and women, to prevent children from what is called, to have them in living vocations which are suitable for them, to provide right to work, employment benefit. Now, this is not what is called a fundamental right. Employment benefit and age-old benefit, etc., to make provisions for just and humane conditions of work and provide maternity benefits, to secure a living wage, and give working conditions to all, to what is called restrain inequalities of income, 44th Amendment. Then we have the Gandhian principles to organize village panchayats, to promote cottage industries, to protect interest of SC/ST, to promote prohibition of alcohol, to organize agriculture and animal husbandry. Then we have the liberal directive principles to provide uniform civil code, provide for courts and compulsory education up to the age of 14 years, to provide what is called, this is not force, actually it is free and compulsory education, the typing error, to separate judiciary from executive, to provide free and legal aid to the poor. Then we have some general principles to protect our environment, to protect places of what is called historic worship, to maintain free honorable relations between nations, to promote international peace and security, to protect, foster respect for international law, to settle international disputes through arbitration. Now we have what is called certain things, which have been implemented. So from here, Zamindari system is abolished by incorporating it in the 9th schedule. Local self-government at rural and urban government has been given by the 73rd and 74th Amendment. SC/ST, OBC, EBC have been given reservation in jobs and educational institutions. Sita has been made to protect immoral trafficking among women. Maternity leave is provided to women. Labor welfare is taken, like what is called Factories Act, Plantation Act. Bonded labor has been abolished. Intoxicating drinks are abolished in states like Gujarat and Bihar. Through 5-year plan, rapid industrialization, technological advancement, building of dams has been done. Free and compulsory education up to the age of 14 years is now a fundamental right by the 86th Amendment. Special provisions have been made for adult education, enforcement of female literacy, etc. Bank and life insurance have been nationalized, even though now they are being privatized, but still they are in the public sector. Then schemes like Pradhan Mantri Rojgar Yojana, Pradhan Mantri Sadak Yojana, Manrega, Sukanya Samriddhi Yojana, free ration scheme, etc. have been launched. Then we have the last part of this, part 3, difference between part 3 and part 4, which is there in the specimen paper, or between directive principles and fundamental rights. Fundamental rights are negative instructions as they limit the power of the state. The directive principles are positive instructions which call upon the state to do something. Then fundamental rights are justiciable under Article 32. Directive principles are non-justiciable in a court of law. Then fundamental rights implement political democracy. Directive principles implement social and economic development. Fundamental rights are backed by law. Directive principles are backed by public opinion. I think this should clarify. Okay, then we have a concept which can come as a 2-marker. Okay, so some part I have tried to include over there. Preventive detention. Preventive detention involves arrest, detention, and imprisonment without any trial and before any crime has been done. The provision for preventive detention is required in the interest of national unity and integration. Okay, it like some provisions are National Security Act, Prevention of Black Marketing and Essential Supplies Act, then COFEPOSA, which are in operation right now. Any person arrested is kept for 3 months, after which a tribunal decides the further course of action. Laws for this are passed by the parliament from time to time. Okay, teachers, I think this chapter is done. Okay, now we'll start with local self-government. Just give me 2 minutes. Okay? Okay, now local self-government, it is a democratic government in the true sense. It is a body of representatives enjoying considerable autonomy and serving as an administrative unit for solution to local affairs. In India, local government refers to Panchayati Raj institution at local level and municipal institutions in towns and cities. The significance or importance of this, it provides an opportunity for people to govern themselves. It leads to decentralization of power from higher to lower levels. It is the real guarantee for the success of democracy. Locals are well attuned to their problems and can manage them more effectively. It relieves the state government from some burden. Balwant Rai Mehta started this, what is called suggestion in 1957. Even though it is not there in the scope, I thought, knowing the 3 levels, I'll include this. The village panchayat in village level, panchayat samiti at block level, Jilla Parishad at district level. Very, very important question. Features of the 73rd Amendment. It provides for 3-tier system of Panchayati Raj. Lower level, we have Gram Panchayat, which covers a village or group of villages. Then intermediate level, we have Taluka Panchayat or Block Panchayat, or Block Samiti or Panchayat Samiti. Apex level, we have the Jilla Parishad covering the entire district. Then elections are mandatory for all 3 levels of Panchayati Raj. Its tenure is of 5 years. If dissolved earlier, elections are to be held within 6 months. 1/3 seats are reserved for women. Seats are reserved for SC/ST in proportion to their population. Seats can be reserved even for OBCs as per their population. That depends on the state. Provision for what is called women is also provided. 1/3 seats are reserved for them. SC/ST, even at the level of chairperson of all levels. It promotes for a state election commission to conduct elections for Panchayati Raj. The state government appoints a state finance commission every 5 years to examine the financial status of the local bodies. The states whose population is less than 20 lakhs are exempted from organizing the middle level. That's the Panchayat Samiti. Then Article 243G provides for what is called the 11th schedule, which provides 29 subjects for working of panchayats. Example, agriculture, animal husbandry, minor irrigation, watershed development, drinking water, markets, fairs, etc. It legalizes the general local self-government by giving it a constitutional status. Rajasthan was the first state to provide Panchayati Raj. Bihar provides 50% reservation for women in panchayats. Features of the 74th Amendment or urban constitution of 3 types of panchayats. Nagar panchayats for fast urbanizing rural areas, municipal corporation council for overall urban areas, and municipal corporation for larger urban areas. Fixed 5-year tenure for municipalities, appointment of a state election commission for conducting elections to local bodies, appointment of a state finance commission for local government. 1/3 seats are reserved for women. Through Article 243W, the 12th schedule provides 18 subjects which come under the purview of the institution of local self-government in urban areas like town planning, construction of building and its regulation, fire service, urban poverty alleviation, etc. Then provision of reservation, what is called for SC/ST women, even is there in some of the public offices. To provide for municipal corporation in big cities, municipalities, nagar palikas, in population between 2 lakhs and 50 lakhs, and in nagar panchayat, which is found below a population of 20,000. Then we have Jilla Parishad. We have two bodies in our syllabus. We have the Jilla Parishad and we have the municipal corporation. The Jilla Parishad is the apex body of Panchayati Raj. The other bodies, children can only know the names. This is not there in the scope for this year. Its composition is as follows: chairperson of Panchayat Samitis of the district, MPs, MLAs, MLCs of the district, representatives of cooperative societies, representatives of SC/ST women, seats are reserved for them. There can be some OBCs also, chairpersons of municipalities of the district. Then you have the functions of the what is called Jilla Parishad, welfare functions to undertake construction and maintenance of roads, culverts, bridges, ports, libraries, dispensaries, and educational institutions, to provide relief during drought and famine, to promote welfare of weaker sections. Then you have the supervising function to supervise and coordinate working of Panchayat Samiti and Gram Panchayat at the district level. Advisory function to advise the state government regarding the needs of the people in local areas. Then you have the financial functions to get grants in aid from central and state government regarding the needs of the people living in rural areas. Then we have development functions to undertake schemes like irrigation, electrification, public distribution, etc. Then we have the municipal corporation or municipality. Now, so far as municipal corporation is concerned, composition of municipal corporation: general council, which consists of members elected by adult citizens, organized as voters. Seats are reserved for SC/ST in proportion to their population, and 1/3 seats are reserved for women. They are called councillor, which tenure is of 5 years. Mayor is elected annually from amongst the members themselves. He is the first citizen of the city. His functions include presiding over meetings, maintaining decorum, receiving dignitaries, and acting as a channel of communication between corporation and central or state government. Then municipal commissioner is the chief executive officer of the corporation and is appointed by the state government. He gives directions to the officers of the corporation, takes part in meetings, proposes budget estimates, keeps check over records, etc. MPs, MLAs of the area, they are also included in the composition. Then you have municipalities, elected council consisting of councillors for 5 years, municipal chairman from amongst the members themselves. Executive officer is also appointed to look after day-to-day operation of the municipality. Eligibility for councillors should be 21 years of age, should not hold office of profit, should be registered as voters in their areas. Then we have the functions: obligatory to provide for hospitals, dispensaries, vaccination, garbage collection, forest staff, to provide for safe drinking water and electricity, to keep record of birth, death, marriage, also to open primary and secondary school and education centers, to look after streets, shopping centers, etc. Discretionary functions: to promote road transport, to establish libraries and promote cultural activities, to organize fairs, exhibitions, etc. To launch family welfare programs, poverty alleviation programs, etc. Okay, just 1 minute. Okay, that ends this chapter. Now we'll move to the last chapter. Just give me 2 minutes. I'll just take a 2 minutes break. I'll just come back, teachers. Uh, Sorry, we move ahead with the last chapter now in the scope challenges to Indian democracy. Just 1 minute. Good afternoon, teachers. Sorry, there's this thing got hanged. Okay, we have first topic called caste. We sometimes confuse it with casteism also, but that's okay. Caste is a form of social
But do you
stratification.
want me to share the PPT from
No, ma'am. It is okay. It is going.
Okay.
It's going.
Okay.
Caste is a form of social stratification characterized by endogamy, hereditary transmission of a style of life, which often includes an occupation, ritual status, okay, hierarchy, customary social interaction, and exclusion based on cultural notions of purity and pollution. Indian Varna system divided into 4 castes: Brahmin, Kshatriya, Shudra, Vaishya. Then just give me 2 minutes, teacher. Okay, so we have next is impact of caste in Indian politics. So the first point we have is caste and political socialization. Different caste groups have their own loyalties towards their caste since birth. In the process of picking up in political beliefs, a person comes under the influence of caste group. We all come under it. Okay, he begins banking upon caste solidarity for occupying and performing a leadership role. Then you have caste and leadership in recruitment. Caste influences the process of leadership in recruitment. This is particularly true for a state. All states are true, but there are some examples like Haryana, Bihar, Tamil Nadu. In Haryana, it's like Jats of Vishnois, and Andhra Pradesh, Reddys, Kammas. So please don't take it personally, anyone. Okay, these are just examples. Caste and party politics. Political parties bank upon direct or indirect caste basis. This is particularly true for regional parties. This may include DMK, AIADMK as anti-Brahmin, BSP as the Dalit party, Akali Dal as a caste-based party. Then role of Jat Sikh basically. Role of caste in electoral politics. Caste plays an important role in selection of candidates. All political parties give a special weightage to the caste factor in allocating constituencies to their candidates and in convincing support for their nominee in the election, like Brahmins and Brahmin-dominated areas. Then you have role of caste in government formation. Also, the party in power tries to use its decision-making power to win the favor of major caste groups. You can take the example of UP. All caste considerations taken. This happens in every state. Then you have caste and local politics in Indian rural context. Caste has been a plank of mobilization. The role of caste in working of Panchayati Raj and other institutions of local self-government has been a known reality. Then we have caste violence. The traditional difference between higher and lower caste have often converted into violence and fierce struggle for power in society. This includes Maharashtra, Bihar, Rajasthan, Haryana, UP. Then we have communalism. Now, we should focus on this topic, but without giving any examples, too many examples, and we should not be biased. Please remember that. Okay. Communalism means to be faithful towards your own religious community and to work for its welfare. It is associated with a narrow, selfish, divisive, and aggressive attitude on the part of the religious group. Normally, it is a negative terminology. Then we have impact of communalism on Indian politics. Political parties, instead of being formed on the basis of nation, are formed on the basis of religious identity. Example, Muslim League or Hindu Mahasabha. And communal politics led to partition of the country due to the policy of divide and rule in 1947. Political parties choose their candidate on the basis of religious identity rather than ability. The voters also get influenced in the name of religion by getting swayed away. It leads to community-based violence, like in Muradabad. It happened many years back. Then we have the last topic of this, regionalism. Now, in its positive sense, regionalism means the love for area. There is no harm. What is called to one which belongs. But in its negative sense, it means love for one's own region over and above the interest of nation as a whole, which is again what is called something which is wrong. You have the causes of regionalism or regional imbalance. You have economic development. Socioeconomic backwardness, widespread poverty, and mass unemployment have been a major factor of regionalism. Regional imbalance created by faulty planning, and half-hearted implementation of planned objectives have added fuel to fire. Then we have democratic federalism. Erosion of democratic institutions like center interference in the working of state government, misuse of Article 356 by the regional parties, discrimination in grants and aid to the state ruled by different parties other than the one in power at the center have all given rise to negative regionalism in the form of center-state conflicts. Development of a self-imposed code of conduct by the media. The regional press has encouraged regionalism just as regionalism has popularized the regional press. The regional media has failed to refer or create a balance between the regional aspirations and national goals. Role of political parties. Political parties have used regionalism as a means for fulfilling their selfish goals, ends, and they apply regionalism as a shield of power. And we have regional imbalance. Interstate disparities in income have been a hard fact of politics in India. And the sad fact has been that it has been widening the feeling of regionalism. Then we have forms of regionalism. First is language issues. Language has remained a formidable basis of regionalism. The policy of linguistic reorganization of states is responsible for their development. This policy has been instrumental in setting the stage for the emergence of small states in the Indian Union. The fallout of this policy has been the outlook of linguistic rights in bilingual states. It is one of the factors responsible for regional aspirations. Example, anti-Hindi agitation by Dravidian parties in Tamil Nadu in 1960s. You have other examples also, but to avoid any controversy, I haven't included that. Then we have son of the soil principle. Several regional political parties support son of the soil principle. This principle has a constitutional basis so far as it empowers the legislature to make residents within their respective states a qualification for employment. There were special provisions regarding J&K. It doesn't exist now, but it used to exist. But you do have some conditions to work in J&K. Nagaland, Manipur, Sikkim, Madhya Pradesh are based on son of the soil principle. This principle even reflected in the cries for Maharashtra for Marathi, Odisha for Odiyas, Assam for Assamese. Party like NINF in Manipur, etc. reflect this principle in their policies. Then we have interstate disputes. Regional state disputes are visible in interstate river water disputes. For instance, the dispute between Punjab and Haryana over the issue of sharing of Ravi, Bias and Satluj water. The dispute between Gujarat, Rajasthan, Maharashtra and Madhya Pradesh on the issue of sharing of Narmada River. Dispute between Karnataka, Kerala and Tamil Nadu over the distribution of Kaveri water again reflects regional disparities and regionalism. Further, Andhra Pradesh, Maharashtra and Gujarat are involved in dispute over Godavari River. Then there are certain boundary disputes. All this helps regionalism to gain ground. Okay, and each region wanting to gain over the other. Then we have demand for new states. A popular brand of regional aspirations, regionalism is in the form of separate statehood within the Indian Union. After 1956, reorganization of Indian state led to what is called this, and it still continues. In 1960, we had the bilingual state of Bombay, which was bifurcated into Maharashtra and Gujarat. 1963, state of Nagaland was created out of Assam. In 1966, Punjab was reorganized in a Punjabi-speaking Punjab, Hindi-speaking Haryana, and hilly areas into Himachal Pradesh. In 1969, the state of Meghalaya was created out of Assam. Later on, you had Himachal Pradesh, Goa, Arunachal Pradesh, Tripura, Manipur, Sikkim. became full-fledged state. In 2000, the state of Jharkhand was created out of Bihar, Uttarakhand out of UP, Chhattisgarh out of Madhya Pradesh. In 2014, Telangana was created out of Andhra Pradesh. Similar demands are also carrying on for Gorkhaland in West Bengal and Vidarbha in Maharashtra. Then you have the secessionist demands in several areas of India. Several secessionist groups are working to break from the mainland of India. Some examples of such movements are separatist movement in Jammu and Kashmir, Khalistan movement in Punjab in 1980s, Naga movements for Greater Nagaland in Northeast. These groups use fear and terror as a potent weapon to get their demands for element fulfilled. Okay, now we have done with the what is called scope of syllabus. Now we'll come to the discussion, general discussion, and because I would like you also to speak, some of you. Okay, I'm just moving to the format of the question paper. The paper is of 40 marks. This is to be seen very carefully. I know most of you know, and is of 90 minutes duration with 10 minutes extra reading time. The question paper is divided into 3 sections. Section A is of 8 marks and is objective in nature. It is of 1 mark each and is divided as follows. 3 fill in the blanks of 1 mark each, 3 statements to be identified as true or false, again of 1 mark each, 2 MCQs, again of 1 mark each. Section B consists of 6 questions of 2 marks each to be written briefly. Now, this is what the word limit which I have written over here. This is a general word limit that depends on the question. In this question number 5 shall have an internal choice. Normally, these are to be written in 30 to 60 words. This is as per the specimen paper. Section C consists of 5 questions and of 4 marks each. These are to be written in 100 to 150 words approximately. In this section, question 10 is a passage-based question. Case study to comprehend the correlational and analytical skills of the student. So please remember, the student should be able to correlate one question to the other question and analyze it, identify the concept, and then proceed. Likewise, in question 11 also there shall be an internal choice. Tips for MCQ 1 mark. This we have already done in detail, but I still have written something. This is largely based on tips given in first semester. Students should have conceptual clarity. In-depth study, especially for fill in the blanks, is essential. Tips for short questions, 2 marks. Read the question very thoroughly. The question should be answered to the point. Generally speaking, 2 points have to be given unless mentioned otherwise. It can be a meaning also. Concept and analytical clarity should be specified. Then questions, tips for long questions, 4 marks. Questions to be read carefully. Answers to be given only as per the requirement of the question. They may test the reasoning, analytical, and descriptive skills of the student. So obviously, the 6 markers which we used to have earlier become 4 markers, but obviously the size would reduce. Okay. So, but it is a descriptive question. So, analytical, reasoning, and then describe. The question may have subparts. Both the subparts have to be segregated and answered with clarity. Then tips for case study based 4 mark question. This is very, very important, teachers. Read the case study carefully and correlate the situation or concept as given in the case study. Identification of the answer to the first question must be done carefully. As the other 2 answers are closely related to it, answer to the point. This is normally divided in the format of 1 plus 1 plus 2. However, some variations may exist depending on the case study. Then you have tips for teachers. Students must be told to do an in-depth study and detailed study. So concept clarity is very important. Study of selected topics which our children have been doing. They did it in first term also. Must be discouraged. The students to learn important articles and amendments wherever applicable. Time management must be practiced with the students. In section A, students should take 8 minutes, not more than that. Section B, 20 minutes, and section C, 50 minutes. So 10 marks basically each. Students should be advised to finish long answers in 10 minutes each and keep the last 10 minutes for revision. This is very, very important. Students should be advised to answer usually in ascending order and not intermingle the sections so that there is no confusion. While checking, if they intermix the sections, okay, there can be problems for the examiners. So that is very, very important. And tips for students, reading should be in depth and should be based on clarity of concepts as given in the scope of second semester syllabus. Selective study should not be done. All 3 sections should be answered section-wise in ascending order and there should be no intermingling. Time management, as advised by teachers, should be followed. All answers should have a balanced size. Now, this you can take down. I'm not explaining this. This is basically solutions to the second specimen paper. If you want, you can take a copy of it. I'm putting on the screen for 2 minutes. So this was what is doctrine of implied powers, which what is called. So doctrine of implied powers means it is not directly mentioned in the constitution, and the judicial review originated in Marbury versus Madison case, and then it was single citizenship. So we have a single citizenship, common uniform citizenship, which entitles them to equal and uniform citizenship. And two features of parliamentary form of government: president, head of the state, is a nominal executive, preeminent council of ministers, the real executive, responsible to the lower house, which is responsible to the lower. So for this, I'm reading out just brief two markers. Then we have a single integrated judiciary. This was the question: what type of judiciary? And it is because we have a quasi-federal, like dispute between center and states can exist. Or what is the advisory opinion of the Supreme Court? So President of India can seek the opinion of Supreme Court on any matter of public importance. Supreme Court is obliged to give advice. You can take a photo of this, and I'll proceed ahead. Then, what is local self-government? Government at the grassroots level, they understand their problems best, especially in the whether it is urban area or local area. Then, what is regionalism? It is the love for one's region. They can write in what is called the negative and positive thing. You can take the photo of this. Then we have the long questions. We have two measures like what is independent judiciary. So basically, when judiciary can keep a check on the powers of the other two organs of government, okay, and without functions without any pressure. That is what is called independent judiciary. And you have these measures which I've already discussed: high qualification, sound method of appointment, long and stable tenure, difficult method of removal, etc. And they can explain any two. Then we have difference between part 3 and part 4. So rights of people given to them by the Constitution of India, directions, instructions given to the state, justiciable, non-justiciable. One establishes political democracy, the other establishes socio-economic democracy. Then these rights have been attained. Fundamental rights are true from the Constitution. All directive principles are not yet implemented. You can take a photo, then I'll proceed ahead. Okay, the case study, right to education. Okay, and empowers children with right to study, right to constitutional remedies, protects this. Role of Jilla Parishad, highest level. It looks after the development of agriculture, training of farmers, rural electrification, water utilization, collect and public data regarding panchayat committees, etc. Any other relevant point. And 4 features of 74th Amendment gives a mandatory status to Municipal Corporation Committee. 1/3 seats are reserved for women. State Election Commission holds the elections. Okay, elections are held every 5 years. Any other feature also can be given. Then caste is a social phenomenon where people are identified, okay, on the basis of caste. It promotes hatred also. Adverse effect of casteism, it comes in the way of social progress and development, hampers country's growth, hinders in the way of nation building, plays a negative role in electoral politics. And any 2 points to be explained briefly. Thank you. Now, what is called? I'll just take 2 minutes break. I'll come back.